Hello, my name is Kyle Suttie, and here's the level I built for Unreal Engine. So yeah, this is after um, 1 week using Unreal. We did one tutorial building a level in first-person shooter. I decided to do a top-down level, um, and yeah, it took me maybe about 20 hours, maybe a little more, 25 hours I spent on this. So yeah, I'll just go play through the level once, and then I'll go back and kind of show how some of it's built and show some of the coding that I did to make some of it work. So yeah, automatically with the top down, the click to move works, which is great. I added WASD movement because the click to move was being a little finicky with some of the building tools. I put most of this together using an asset pack. Stylized Egypt. Almost all of it came from the Stylized Egypt pack or a low poly Viking World pack. Yep, those were just downloaded from the marketplace. Where's that? Yeah, Stylized Egypt and Low Poly Viking World. I give most of the credit to this Stylized Egypt pack. I used a lot of the assets from here and built out the whole level using that. So yeah, I'll talk in a bit about adding the WASD movement. I'll show how I did that, but I found it to be more useful for maneuvering around the level. So you start out here and you've got some objects and items. You got this brazier that if you come up to it, it's going to light on fire, and that's going to come up later on too. Yeah, we've got some physics with some of these fun looking objects. And yeah, we can walk around, explore the level a bit. Yeah, I like the foliage pack, and there's some water here too. Yeah, let me come down here. I played a lot with just building out some archaeology and stuff, just making some interesting like set pieces. So yeah, over here we've got a little bit of like a platforming puzzle. Not too much. It's just something interesting to go towards. Just built out this area here. Yep, you can kind of get to see some more of the level from up here, which is nice. You see there's another brazier, so like maybe we'd wander over there. Yep, got some ropes to stop you from falling. I have not implemented like a respawn system, so if you fall in the water, you'll just have to restart the level right now. I ran out of time before I could do that. But yeah, so we can kind of see some of the level down here. We see this big pyramid off to the right. Looks like we want to go over there. We see, yeah, this water, and then there's sort of a missing bridge. And yeah, you can see some of this brazier here. Let's light that. And oh, what do you know? That brazier over there was lit up too. So I don't know, let's go explore and see what that's all about. Yeah, I really had a lot of fun building out a lot of these set pieces and making them all work, and building out a few other systems that I spent some time in as well that I'll get to in a minute. Yeah, I built all of these just using a lot of these individual pieces, combining them together, making groups out of them. So yeah, let's take a look at this bridge over here. So we've got these braziers, and we've got what looks like a button in the middle. Oh, you can see that there's a bridge underwater there, actually. So looks like we need to maybe light two more braziers. So let's go exploring some more. Um, yep, use the water from the Viking low poly level. It just kind of looked fun. Haven't really finished out everything, but sort of ran out of time, but I'm really pleased with how it all came out. So we go exploring up here, got some statues, and up here it's a little hard to see, but yep, there's another brazier to light. Moving on, exploring more of the world. So yeah, another thing that I worked out that took a lot of my time, honestly, was I didn't like how when you walked behind walls, you would be covered up and wouldn't be able to see. So I implemented this see through this wall system, sort of like these top-down games like Diablo have. It took a lot of time, and I'll show you some of the code that went into it in a minute. But that I really spent a lot of time. I wanted to get it to work right so that if I added any sort of puzzle elements or platforming elements behind these wall elements, you'd be able to see your character. So that I was really pleased with. I actually didn't have time to build out this whole area because I worked so long on that. But anyways, let's keep exploring. Back here, we've got an area, and as we can see through, it's a little dark. But back here, yeah, wandering around a bit, there is a brazier to light. That's sort of a corner of the level there. So I think that's all for it. Let's head back and see what happens. Yeah, kind of inspired just by like these top-down ARPG style games like Diablo. This might fit in a level like this. Yep, wandering back over the bridge. Let's see, we've got all 4 braziers lit now. So when we walk over this button, woohoo, it raises the bridge. Yeah, we just used the bridge, the movement kind of same technique we learned in the tutorial we did where we moved a wall piece in the office level. So yeah, over here we've this is about the end of the level. I might build out a dungeon here later on, but if you come over here and explore a little further, it just says you win. So yeah, that's the level, finding these 4 braziers to light, lifting the bridge, and then finding the pyramid. So yeah, backing out, talk about a few things that I implemented. Yeah, like I said, with the top-down character, so we added some WASD movement, which is just simply inputting axis move forward and axis move right into the world direction. And we actually did have a rotate to face cursor function that I implemented following a guide, which has the character turn to where the mouse is, but it's turned off currently because the animations didn't quite line up with that. Anyways, yeah. Back over here, that's the WASD movement code. Looking at, yeah, so the way that we implemented the see through the walls was a bit tricky, but it involved messing with some texture here. So for instance, yeah, basically here's like a general wall texture. And this is just the normal color for it and the metallic and roughness values. So adding this texture object and this occluder that we created, again, following a guide, it's a bit complicated, but it just takes the direction your camera's looking and projects, this kind of sphere. And then we add this distortion using just a cloud texture or a fog texture. Yeah, again, followed the guide. It's a little complicated, but we made this function so that we take this texture, add it through this occluder, and that goes into the opacity mask for the texture. So we had to change the material from opaque to a mask, and that way it follows this opacity mask so that the wall looks normal if you're looking at it from afar, but if it enters that sort of cone in front of our camera where our character is going to be standing, it will then turn the opacity down so you can see through it, and then use that fog texture as the blending mask. What was really cool about that I liked was, yeah, we used this function to allow us to adjust the mask as I needed to. So to get the mask to look like this, we created a lot of these scalar parameters that change the distance of this cone, the radius of the circle here, the hardness of the texture, how much of the texture we're using in this multiplier, and then how fast the texture is going. So what's awesome about setting that up this way is now you have these sort of sliders to just sort of change. Oh, how big do I want this wall, to see through? And then how much do I want this effect over here? Do I want to make it kind of look like that? And changing, the distance that you can see and all that stuff, or the speed that it's moving like that. So that was a lot learned there. I spent almost a lot of my time, probably eight hours trying to get all this to work right. I followed 2 guides that did not work right, and then the 3rd guide I followed ended up working. So this is that. Again, really pleased with how that came out. That took most of my effort and time, honestly. And then, yeah, making these braziers work was a lot of fun. So we have these brazier elements here that have a trigger box that when you step over it, it just reveals the flame. It's just simple as that. But yeah, let's open up so I can show the blueprint code for that. Here we go. This all I built out myself. It's probably spaghetti and could be done much more efficiently, but it took a lot to learn through this mapping system. So yeah, the way it works is when we start, we just set our variables. We make sure to turn off all the flames in all the fire pits. And I've set these Boolean variables for like flame on. So is the flame 1 on? Is the flame 2 on? 3 and 4. So we set them all to off at the beginning of the level. Make sure they're not visible. Make sure all the fire pits are not visible, including the ones linked up to them. So then what we have is when the player steps over the trigger box, we set the variable flame 1 to on, and then we set the actor of the fire pit to visible. There's probably an easier way to do that, but that's just the way I figured out how to do it. So that when the player steps on the block here, the flame comes on, and then the corresponding flame to this comes on as well. But then we also initiate the variables to flame 3 on and flame 4 on so that we can check those later. So we also have a variable for bridge ready. The way bridge ready works is it's automatically set to off, and then when every tick of the game, we check an if statement to see is the flame 1 on. If it is, if the flame 2 is on, and the flame 3 is on, and the flame 4 is on, and all four flames are lit, then that sets the variable bridge ready to checked. So when bridge ready is checked, that will make this trigger box work. So again, we have this on actor, the character overlaps with the trigger box. We have an if statement that if is the bridge ready. If the bridge is not ready, it will not continue, so nothing will happen, and that way the character won't trigger this until they've lit all 4 braziers. If the bridge is ready, all 4 braziers are lit, the Boolean has been flipped, then we'll move on to our timeline, and this is the same thing we used in our tutorial to move the door. Yep, we just move the bridges which are hidden under the water on the z-axis, and they have a certain movement. So yeah, at the beginning, we initiate this variable of the bridge 1 location, bridge 2 location, and then we add the initial location plus our movement of the z angle of about 100 units, and then plug that into set actor location. So yeah, we update with the timeline, and that's how we're able to get a smooth movement of the bridges from down here up to here when the character has triggered this box after lighting 4 braziers. Yep, and then there's just a simple text here that when the character walks over there, it's revealed. So yeah, that's the whole level. Really proud of it. Could build it out more, but yeah, I'd learned a ton about Unity, or Unreal, sorry, doing this. So really pleased with it. Thanks for watching.